Okay, I've got several of you that are having some issues using Ebsco to do your searches. I've been told all sorts of things about the subscription being expired. There's no expiration to the City of Saginaw's public library access point to Ebsco, but you have to follow the directions that are inside of the Canvas document that I put up for you. Under databases in Canvas and the modules, you'll find access to this page. It's the EBSCO link. I disabled ProQuest because we did not get an extension of that subscription yet. Fort Worth Public Library has been a little less than helpful because they had a 30-day window that you had to go to the public library and permanently lock in your library card to be able to use their databases. Obviously, the quarantine got in the way of all of that, number one, and number two, that really wasn't what we were after. So we're going to be using Saginaw's just because they gave us everything we need. On the page, there's two pieces of info you're going to want really to be clicking on and using. And the third piece that you just need to remember when you go to the link. So here's the link, libraryoftexas.org, TechShare. That's the one we're going to go to. Pay close attention to the Select Your Library, John Ed Keeter Public Library. That's our public library for Saginaw. And then you need this passcode that's here. I just highlighted it and did a Control C to copy it so that I've got it now for when I need to log in. Click on Library of Texas. Mine's already got selected, so I'll just back it up a little bit. So select your library. It'll take you to this page. Scroll down. Go into the J's. John Ed Keeter. I've already got the passcode plugged in here. Once you plug it in the first time, your browser will ask if you want to save the passcode. I say go ahead and do it, but you don't have to. Now, to get to Ebsco, scroll down. You can scroll down through all these and you won't see it. And that's where a lot of people are going to run into a problem. The second part of the instructions is said to go to the resources A to Z. Scroll down now, and there you see all Ebsco. One thing I'd like to point out, all these databases that are listed here are all accessible databases using the passcode that we just entered. These are all accessible for you. Here's one right here, Medline. It's biomedical research. There's several different versions of EBSCO that are built into this. They've got them individualized out. I don't like spending a lot of time with searches. I'd rather be able to be targeted and use as much as I can all at once. So I'm going to use the all EBSCO. And then right here on this page, EBSCO host, web, all databases. So we don't really want to spend time thinking too much on it. This selects all the databases. Again, look. All those databases for EBSCO that were in Fort Worth are here. This is equivalent almost to a public college institution's EBSCO usage. It's significantly more than we've ever had. Hit continue, and then you go here. The only other thing you'll probably want to go to is scroll down a little bit to limit results to full text and scholarly peer-reviewed journals. A lot of people ask me how many scholarly peer-reviewed journals for the IWA. Look, the simple fact of the matter is, let's say you're going to have 8 total things on your external annotated bibliography. Of that, at least 5 or 6 would be scholarly peer-reviewed journals in my book. Other things you could then click this off and find more stuff in EBSCO. You could find some external sources and all that are on the World Wide Web, and I think that you would be okay. But I would say safely 70 to 80% of your work should be scholarly peer-reviewed journals for the IWA. Capstone is one of those weird programs that doesn't lend itself really well to the choice of the evaluator, really, in whether or not your sources are okay or not. It's really very rigid in the fact that it wants scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And I get it. I think that they're exceptionally valuable in a lot of different areas. You're wanting academics, people that are in universities or scholars that publish within the discipline and the magazines of the discipline. But sometimes some things aren't actually a discipline-specific thing. I mean, when I started doing research on the video games in 2003, there wasn't a whole bunch and all on inside of regular scholarly journals focused on video game literature or on scholarly acts of video games. And so I had to go outside of it and all to, other magazines and publications that weren't scholarly peer-reviewed. But that's not the case anymore. Really, any and everything nearly is covered and all within a certain degree within a scholarly peer-reviewed journal. But video games now are accepted as a major area of research in universities. So that being the case, I think it's handy to go ahead and select this. There's not really much of a reason not to. Some of you are going to argue, well, but my topic is, and my response is going to be, really, when it comes to finding your topic, it's probably going to weigh more on what you put into this search box here than it does whether or not you select that box. You want that box checked, and you want this one as well. Do know, just because you have full text does not mean that you will always get the text. Sometimes it'll give you a locator number. That's just a problem that's in the database system. Remember, this thing has been active since, well, 2001, I think, is when Ebsco first popped in. And so it's not like they've gone back and fixed problems that they made in the past. So search strings inside of a database are working on an indexing system. What this means is that whenever the person at the database company got the article and were preparing to enter it into their database, because remember, Ebsco is a subscription service, all the little things with the databases. Well, those people at the databases had to enter in keywords that would basically cause the system to pull those articles up if those words were entered in a certain way. That means that you're really playing a game of guessing what word the person entered in to be able to find that article. And that's why it's important to be really open with how you search. Now, let's just go with something like vehicles making people happy. That's a long string, several different words in it. And I still get 4,642 different results in this. As you can see, not necessarily always based on vehicles. A lot of different pieces in here, a lot of different things and all that may or may not be of use to what you may want. Let's see if I was going a little more specific. And yes, I have one student in mind, yes. But so if a Tesla, I got into 156, there's still no guarantee that I'm going to find stuff that really is going to help me. There's a couple of Tesla-based things that could be, excuse me, interesting and maybe of use, but it's going to be less successful in finding as much as I want. So maybe I should be focusing more on what am I wanting to know about it. Maybe just cars and happy. Well, that didn't work out too much. 35 different sources. How about cars and happiness? One extra source. Alright, maybe I'm not. Alright, that's only up to 58. Maybe joy. You see how I'm playing with the words and it's changing the results that I'm finding. Maybe what I think people like about, a Tesla car is that they like the technology that's integrated into it. And that technology is what drives the happiness. Well, I do this search, I find this stuff about technology used to generate happiness within humans. Now you may say, but there's no mention of cars or Tesla or anything else like that. And? I mean, is the technology inside the Tesla not something that makes people happy? Is that maybe not something I want to explore? If that is, then I could talk about the happiness and all that's created within the use of technology, and then I create the bridge that carries it over and all, looking at maybe another article and all that's connected to the idea of Tesla itself having tech that makes people happy, one of those outside of database sources, and use that to create my own unique conversation, my own unique argument that Tesla makes people happy because of the integration of technology within the car. See, then I found a topic, I found some information for my subject, and I found a way to be able to conduct my research and my project, even though the articles that I found don't necessarily directly address the topic, this main specific limited topic that I have of, say, Tesla specifically. So I want you to note, I went through so many different words up here, I just played around with it a little bit. One thing I also will point out is way too many of you will look at the very first page results, so 1 through 10, and you make your determination of whether or not you actually have found any sources or not. There's 748 different sources here. I wouldn't stop thinking I found my sources until I'd at least gone probably halfway through the pages that are available at the bottom. I mean, I'm at least getting into 5 or more before I ever give up. HTML full text is not a bad option. That means somebody hand type the source in. PDF is, of course, a scan of the article. One big key thing I want y'all to keep in mind is that y'all really do need to embrace the ideas of what it is to do real research and really focus on the assignment of what the IWA is. IWA, individual written argument. It's your argument about a particular research question that you've created. Your argument is based on the research you have read that helps draw you to a conclusion that these sources haven't come to because they haven't been brought together by anybody else. You do need to stay focused on it. You do need to stay working on it, and do not throw out the good work that we've done all year long. You know how to be good researchers. At this point, I know you're questioning yourselves because we're stuck in isolation, but you all know what you're doing. This video is not meant to say that you don't. It's just to help you out and help answer some questions. As always, if you have any other questions, you can email me or feel free. Probably the best option is to join us for one of our chat sessions during the week, and I will help you out in that way. Until next time.